And oh, we got some people from Portugal and from India. Hello, everybody. Ross, unfortunately, correct Kiev spelling it that way doesn't help me understand. Is it Keev sounding or Kiev? Anyway, I'm just curious about that. Back to what we're working on today. Starting an approval process and approving the approval process. Now, when you do this approval process, the first thing you have to do is get a hold of the actual user. So we need a user who's going to submit it for approval. Now, what we could do is do we need a user or just the ID? We just need the user ID. So we could do user, we could do ID, user ID equals, and then what is the magic? Is it user dot get user ID, I think that's it. I'm going to make this camel case because code should be pretty. So we're going to grab our user ID, and what we've said here is, regardless of how this code is executing, the user that is executing the code is going to be the one who's submitting this for approval, which could be problematic. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create an override, public void start approval process ID, and we'll do user, we'll do record ID. We'll do string approval process name, and we'll do ID user ID to submit. And what we'll do is we'll have this one, which assumes the user ID, automatically call to the override. So I guess technically this is the override. So what we're going to do down here is we're going to say return start approval process record ID approval. Not sure why that put that in parentheses there. And then we'll do the user ID like that. Okay, so in this one, let's go ahead and give this some documentation because that would be useful. Start a given approval process for a specified record, assuming the submitting user is the Apex execution context user. Yep, and that's going to be the record to approve, and this is going to be the approval process to use. Now, it occurs to me that before we can actually do anything with this, and we should probably, I'm going to save this, and I don't expect any issues there, but we should probably create an approval process so we can test this, play around with it. So I'm going to create an approval process for account. Why account? Because it's a standard object in Apex recipes. We try not to create custom objects unless absolutely necessary. So I'm going to use a standard account object. It's something I can easily manipulate and use. I'm going to go to create a new approval process using the Jumpstart wizard. Just make sure it's nice and easy. We'll do, let's see, we'll do Apex approval as the name, and add the submit and approval button. Okay, we can add that to the layouts. That's fine. Entry criteria. Now this is cool. If you've never done anything with approval processes before, but what the entry criteria are is they're criteria that the record has to meet in order for somebody to submit it for approval. The cool thing about that is when you're doing things with it in Apex, you can override it. We have the power. So let's do this. Let's choose a field, and we're going to say the account. I'm going to choose the account. Let's go with industry. The account industry equals, we'll pull up our little pick list here and we'll choose manufacturing. Okay, so in order for an account record to go through this approval process, right now we've said it has to be a manufacturing industry account. We're going to override that. We're going to demonstrate how to use both ways. So we'll do that here. I'm going to who do I want to do for the selecting the approval? I'm going to choose the automatically assign approvers, and I'm going to choose the, well, let's do the manager field. That could be difficult. Let's do automatically assign approvers. For this purpose, we're going to just mark it as a user. And we'll choose user. It's my Scratchwork user. And right now we're setting this up to have only one particular approver. And again, we can override that in the code. You'll see what that looks like here in just a little bit. I'm going to save this. Yes, I know. I have to activate it. Saving. There we go. Okay. So here are the steps, and we can have multiple steps in our approval process. Because we're focused on how to use these approval processes in Apex, I'm not really going to do anything more with the approval process here in the declarative side, but know that you can go in and add multiple steps, multiple approvers. You can have things that happen when the record is, you can have automation that occurs when the record is entered for approval, or when it's approved, or when it's rejected. And you can even have things that happen when it is recalled, when the user says, no, I actually don't want to approve that. So what we're going to do here is on our initial submission, we're going to have it lock the record. That's a standard one. It happens for you automatically. Then we're going to have an approval step here where the approver is my user, and there's no actions associated with this. So if we go in here and choose this, there's no approval actions, there's no rejection actions. And we can modify that as you will during doing this if you want. I'm just going to activate this for right now. And now when this gets back, come on. There we go. I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to sales. And well, we'll go to service. That's fine. All right. Let's see. Hey, Tech Boy Engineer. Good to see you there. And Sachin and Nasir. All right. So we're looking over here at our accounts. I'm going to look for an account that has marketing or manufacturing. Like that. So if we look at our Zorxo 42, we'll find that in the details, their industry has manufacturing in there. I'm going to change this so that it says just as manufacturing. And we'll save that. Now, we've got our option over here where, let's see, where is our submit for approval button? Row. Opportunity, change owner, account hierarchy. Okay, well, let's reload that. Maybe it's hiding. Where is my approvals? I would expect it to be right here. Submit for approval. Interesting. So we got an approval history, so we know that that's showing up now. We have activated it. It's on account. Let's just double check my assumptions here. But we've got approval processes, and our approval processes is activated. It's called Apex Approval. It requires an account industry field to equal manufacturing. That looks to be good. You know, this is how you know it's live. Check for new data. Let's do that. This record can't be checked. Okay, great. It's under chatter. because you can do approvals through Chatter. That's curious. Salesforce Lightning approval button. Well, is it on the page layout or not? Well, that's a good question, and it should be. Count page layouts. This one. Submit for approval is not. Good call. I thought it was set there automatically. Okay, we'll reload our page. And I'm going to submit for approval. Hey, look at that. I'm not going to leave any comments. There we go. Now, what you'll find here is that I can't edit this record anymore because it's locked, which is good. Right? So if I go here, well, actually, it would be locked, except that, as it turns out, the user who submitted this and the user who approves it are the same. And I'm an administrator, so I always get to edit, which is bad for demonstrating things, but decent for the way it works in the real world. If I go over here to my notification, I would expect it to tell me what it is. But if I go down here and I look for my related, I can go down to my approval history and I can go to, say, step 1, and I can approve, or I can reject, or I can reassign. So just for grins and giggles, I'm going to approve this. And there we go. We've got this approver record situated and set up. If we go back down here in our approval history, we've got it approved. Okay, so that's what we want to do. All that work is what we want to do, but we want to do it in code so that I don't have to fumble around with it. And doing this with an approval process allows you to set gated situations where a processing of a record or some automation only occurs when certain conditions are met or when certain code conditions are met. So what we're going to do is we're going to work to both submit this, so this first part, and then we're going to work to approve it, approve the step. So we've got, oh, I've got a failed to run. Yes. Void can't return, and that is void as well. Get user ID doesn't exist. What is? Have I forgotten? Apex user user ID. Could have sworn that was get the user user info. That's what it is. User info. Yeah, look at that. All right, we'll save that. Doop 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 doop. But I don't want it to return a value. I want it to return. That should work just fine. I can just call it. Should be fine. All right, we'll save that. Yeah, you're gonna save now, aren't you? Okay. Now, for our approval process up here, where we've got this set up where we need the record ID, we can pass that in, that's fine. And we've got the approval process name. Why do we need that approval process name? Because you have to submit the approval process under a name. And so let's just talk about our records. We've got a approval namespace, and then we've got a process submit request. Now this process submit request is pretty basic there. We don't have to put anything in there to get that process submit request. Then what we're going to do is we're going to set the record ID. Now you have to set the record ID because that's the record that we're going to submit through the process. And then we're going to do some comments. Process submit request. I don't want that one. Not yet. I'm going to do set comments. Set comment. And I'm going to put in submitted for approval by Apex Code. You can make that, you should make that useful. You might even consider making that a parameter, right? And then we'll do set the approval process name. And that approval process name, that is exactly what it sounds like, the record we're going to do. Let's see. I'm looking at my notes over here, and I think I gave this one, this is wrong. This is not, it's a set record ID. Is it object ID? Set object ID is the one I want. We're going to set the object that we're going to approve, and then we're going to set process submit request set user set. It's tab 9 is really submitter, and we're going to do user ID, and then we've got our, this is actually not right either. Tab 9 is doing me really badly today. Set process definition name or ID. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily have the IDs of my approval processes memorized, so we're going to pass it in as a string. We'll use the definition name, and then we'll set the ID. And here is what we can do. We can have some fun. We can say process submit request dot set skip entry criteria, and we can do true. Now, if we set the skip entry criteria to true, it doesn't matter what industry our account is in. We can have an account industry in, you know, I don't know, space warfare, or, you know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle playing cards. Whatever industry they're in, this will work automatically. And so this is a really powerful one. Skip entry criteria. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have our, we're actually going to request that it be processed. And so that looks like approval dot process result, and that's going to equal, and we're going to have it name result is equal to process submit request. No, it's I'm sorry, that's not it. It's approval dot process submit request, like that. All right. Now it occurs to me that I currently have this void, and I would much rather have something else there. So I'm going to put Boolean, and that means I can make this one Boolean. Boolean, and we can return that one. And over here, we're going to then say return result dot is it approved, or is success, like that. Okay, so now I've got a Boolean method that tells us whether or not we were successful in submitting this record for the approval process. So I'm going to save this, and now is a great time for us to create a unit test. Unit test. So we'll go down here. I'm going to do a class. We're going to do approval process recipes tests. Is that what I want? Let me make sure I'm following my own naming conventions. Yep, I am. Like that. We're going to create it in a custom directory. Go down all the way to our tests. There we go. Mark that at is test. Okay, and then I'm going to drag this over here. I'm going to turn off the sidebar. We're going to look at this. I've got an issue. Method does not exist. Illegal assignment from process result to... I love it when I get error messages like this. A legal assignment from approval process result to approval process request. Like, okay, great. It's process. Like, duh, Kevin. Way to go. Set comment. What is set oh, it's set comments. And then we're gonna, method does not really exist, or from the type process. Yeah, that's because I had the wrong thing. Okay, so let's save that. I'm going to make this bigger. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say @is_test, and we'll do static void true test submit account to approval process positive. All right, so this test is positive. So what we want to do is we want to create a test. We want to submit that test as a user and see that it got submitted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with creating a user not admin equals test factory dot create user true. Now, if I open that, what does that look like? Go to definition. What? Go to rep. Test factory. Silly goose. Alright, down here at the bottom, we've got create marketing user, create test user, create min access user, create test user, insert, and the profile name. And so, okay, we will do, okay, we need a profile name. So the profile name I'm going to use is standard user. Okay, and let's see. Then I'm going to create an account. Account is equal to test factory create s object new account name equals test account industry equals we'll do not manufacturing like that, and we'll do true. Okay, so we've got an account, it's inserted, it's got a name, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say Boolean. Nope, can't do that. It's not a static method, so I have to instantiate it. So we're going to do approval process recipes, and we're going to call this one APR equals new approval process recipes. We don't have a constructor there, so that should be fine. And then here we go, submit account to approval process. That is what we call our start approval process. That is not the right method name. Oh, come on. Start approval process, and this method requires at least two things. We need the record ID, which is acct.id, and we need the user. Actually, no, we need the process name, and the process name we're gonna have to. We could hard code it, but who wants to do that? That's just messy. So let's do this. I'm gonna create. We'll do select ID name from approval process. I think that's what it's called. I'm about to find out. Execute, not anonymous Apex. I want to do query. I forgot. For query, I have to highlight it. Query, currently selected text, REST API. Query failed. Approval process is not supported. All right, let's go find this. So we're gonna, just for grins and giggles, I'm going to go over here to the developer console. I always forget what the name of this object is. Let's open an object. We'll do app. And we'll look through here. Appointment bundle. Could have sworn that was in there and you could query it. Active. Is it process result? Is it named something different? Let's look for process. Process definition. Bet you that's it. Is it process definition? let's look at our, we're already in Chrome. Let's do Salesforce query approval process. Active approval processes. Yeah, it's process definition. That's what I thought. Okay. So we're going to go to process definition. And we've got ID and name. Let's come back over here and just to change this to process definition. And highlight that. Execute REST API. One record retrieved. There's our record ID and approval. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. Don't save that. And I'm going to come up here and do static ID. And this is going to be our string. It's going to be a string. Approval process. Process name is equal to, and we'll make this pretty. Select we just need name from process definition. That's great. We'll let that run just the once, and then now we have access to say in this we're going to have approval process name, and once that runs, what we can do is we can check to make sure that our approval process setup is in the right, frame of mind, it's in the right status. So what we're going to do is we're going to do approval, is it approval? And first we got to find how do we determine outside of that. So this is going to return our this is going to be a Boolean, and it's going to be our result. It's equal to that, and then we'll do system.assert result expected to receive true. Okay. Save that. Let's run this. Failed to push. What? Oh, that's right. That has to be casted. Method does not exist or incorrect signature create user Boolean string. Yes, it does. Oh, it's create test user. I'm a genius. Create test user. Push. Illegal assignment from oh. Yes. Limit 1. Still. Okay. Okay. So, people who are tuning in on the chat, what are some things you'd like to see us do on codeLive? Any topics or things that you would like to see us cover, or not? Are you tired of Apex? Do you want to see more JavaScript? Do you want to see more Lightning Web Components? Do you want to see more unit testing? Do you want to see, oh, this specific thing that's been bugging me for 6 weeks? What do you got? What do you want to see more of here? So we got our test here. I'm going to run this. I can see you have put comments in JS doc format in Apex class. How do you create the documentation out of these? That's a great question, Suresh, and let me explain how it works. So all of our sample apps have this package JSON, and in the package JSON we have a series of scripts that have been defined. So you can see the scripts here, and one of them is called Apex Docs, and it uses an npm package called Apex docs, and I can call that using Apex docs generate. I'm going to pass it in a config file. This is our config file. I'm going to pass it in whether or not I want the object header to be published. These are the names or the things that I want. Anything that is in this list is going to be available. Docs are going to be generated for. So public stuff, private stuff, protected. This is everything. And then I'm going to write that. I'm going to tell it where to look for classes here, and then I'm going to tell you where I want it to put that, and it's going to put it in the docs folder. And what happens is, if we go and look at our docs folder, go up here to the top, you can see that it generates a bunch of markdown files. And if I preview, markdown, open preview to the side, you can see that it does a very nice job of presenting our markdown documentation. Now this is really interesting because if we go over to the if we go to GitHub, Trailhead Apps, Apex Recipes, and let's confirm that. I was not expecting that one. You can go to our wiki. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Looks like I'm going to be turns out I have one of those passwords that I can't write and talk at the same time. Let me authenticate here. I'm not sure why I'm having to authenticate to view a read-only thing, but whatever. Over here I have all of my stuff. So call out recipes, and here's where my documentation shows up, and it's all because of that npm script and the Apex docs npm script. All right, it's coming back over here, back to where we were working. We were in the approval process, and we just ran this test, and we got some passes. Yay! Okay, so that passed, and we've got that. And if we come over here, we can probably see our code coverage, and you'll see that we've got automatic coverage for the base start approval process because it's called by our approval process that uses the automatic user ID grabber. But that's not quite good enough for me. So we're going to write a unit test for this and call it with a set user ID. So let's do that. We're going to do that is test static void test submit approval process positive set user ID, and I'm going to start off by doing mostly the exact same stuff. And it turns out, now that I think about it, I don't actually need my not admin in the first test because we're calling it with the user info class. So down here I've got my not admin, and I'm going to go through here, create the account, and what I want to do is, because my org-wide defaults should give another user access to this account, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say what I'm going to do is system.run as, and the user is going to be not admin, and then it's going to be a block. I don't know why it does that. Block as a parameter, and we're going to grab this, put this up here, and so we're going to run this as my not admin user. And down here, I want to assert that it's true, so that we successfully did it. And then I should check the approval process to see who the approver is. But let's just make sure this is passing first. While we save and then execute that, I'll look over here. Somebody's asking for future method versus queuable Apex. Ooh, okay, we can do that. Why does that not exist? Result is right there. because it's out of scope. We're going to fail safe. We're going to say this is result is equal to that. Now we should have a result there in scope. Let's run this test. Failed to run. Front row. What happened? Oh. Okay, so this is wonderful. You can see the results over here, which is very skinny and over on the side. So let's see if we can't. No applicable process. Process was found. Did I miss something up here? Approval process name. Approval process name. Is that a scope? Is the run as? Okay, let's see if we put this down here, if that helps that. I would have expected that to work, but whatever. We'll try it by putting it directly in the scope. Anything else you people are thinking you'd love to see somebody live code? Any particular use cases or anything like that? Yes, no applicable process. Great. And now let's try this again. Failed to run. No applicable process was found. I feel like this is a permissions issue. Maybe it's because the account is not owned by the non-admin. So if we insert the account there and then start the approval process, see if that is what affected it. That's not an intuitive error message, in my opinion. So we'll clear this. Run test. Yeah, that passed. Okay, so turns out you have to own the record to submit it for an approval. It's good to know. Good to know. All right. And I'm going to do test.start test, test.stop test, just for completeness sake. Now, over here in our dev console, we've got the various process objects. And if we look at the process instance, or is it the process work item request? So the process instance is, let's do this. Let's put one of these in to the approval process. Reload. Submit for approval. All right, now I'm going to go over my developer console and I'm going to use the query editor. And I'm going to do select ID name. What else we got in there? Let's open the process instance. So we've got a status. Let's do status. Last actor ID submitted by ID. Let's see, target object ID and process definition ID. ID from process instance. So here we go. So we should definitely limit it. Order by created date. Order by created date. Ascending. There we go. Actually, we can get the one that says pending, where status is pending. Where status equals pending. All right, so we're going to get one record there. Now, that is not going to tell us, because our process instance doesn't tell us who the next actor is. So let's look at the process work item. So we're going to open process instance work item. ID, original actor ID, actor ID. Okay. Select fields all from process instance work item. Limit 10. So those original actors IDs are the same. This actor ID is the approver, I believe. Is deleted, created by elapsed time in minutes. It's about right. Okay, so what other objects do we have in this approval process? Spit. Instance step. Process instance step. All right, this is the one we did. It started. This is still not, this is an interesting schema. Process instance node. What does this do? Node ID and node status, last actor ID. Process instance status. Process instance node, sorry. Limit 10. So this is pending. Node 1 is in the name. Okay, so I'm going to say process instance step here is going to tell us what we want. We've started this, but we don't have, oh, we do have an actor ID. Okay, so our original actor ID and the actor ID should be different in this case. So let's go to our code, and what we're going to do is we're going to make the same query. Boom. We're going to do, this is the steps, yes, process instance steps, process instance step, array is equal to, no, we're going to do, do step to, boom, we'll make this pretty, it's all from process instance step. We want this to be step status is started, where step status equals started, and we can set the comment to be what we want, and comments testing 1 2 3 limit 10, we're going to say limit 1. All right, so now we've changed that. Let's go up here to where we're putting in our approval process. Over here we have to set our comments to be, here we'll use this, submitted for approval by Apex code. Good thinking, Kevin. Come on, there we go. And we'll come down here and we'll say where comments equals this, and we'll save that. Let it save, let it save. I hope I am still broadcasting, but my computer has frozen a little bit. Let's see, there we go. Okay, the SOCL field function is not supported with an unbound set of fields. It's not an unbound set of fields in this API. Fields, standard. Do you like that better? Started and limit 1. We're limiting it. It's not an unbounded set. Okay, I just wanted standard. Fine. Now we can make our assertion. We'll do system assert not equals. And we're going to have step dot actor ID, comma, is it our actor ID? Yeah. Actor ID is not our non-admin.id. Expected to see that the actor is not the non-admin user. Save that. This is getting exciting. Okay, and I'm going to run this unit test. Running, running, running. Keep those unit tests running. Fail! Alright, well, welcome to codeLive. Failure is always an option. Okay, so these are the same value. Maybe we want to look at the original actor ID. So we'll do this. Step dot original actor ID. Oh, it is. We have 7 minutes left. I may need to. We should actually work on the bit where it actually approves it. So let me run this one last time, and then we're going to jump over to that portion because that's the exciting portion. Once you've got it entering the bit. Okay, so that's a fail, and that's fine. Failure is always an option. We come over here. We need our method down here where we are submitting it for approval, or actually doing the approval. And so we've got the record ID and the approval process name. The first thing we need to do is get the process work item request for the record and name. And what this allows us to do is we're going to grab, so we're going to query for, okay, somebody's got Abdullah's got a question. Anyone please answer this question. Which question? Abdullah, let us know what your question is and we'll try and get to it here. The first thing we need to do is find that process work item request. And so we're going to do a process work item request. Do I have to do that? Boom. I gotta find the work item IDs. New work item IDs. This is not this is the work item IDs. Process work item. Let's look back at our thing over here. Process work item. Refresh. Process instance. Created by system mod save. There's nothing linking that back to the record. So this can't be Boolean. This is going to have to be an ID, or a list of IDs. And I'll show you why here in just a second. This is going to be a list ID, and we're not going to return is success. We're going to return result.get new work item IDs. And this is the only way to grab what those work item IDs are, which is frustrating, but we'll deal with it. We'll save those. Then we can come back over to our test and refactor that. And let's see, our first test is going to be result is equal to true. We're going to change this to be result.size is greater than 0 to receive new work item IDs. And then down here, we're going to have to do pretty much the same thing. And result is going to equal system result of system result.size is greater than 0. Expected to receive new work item IDs. And we'll have to come back to this bit because I'm not entirely sure what the deal is with that one, but we'll work on that. We're still pushing the code. Come on, computer. You can do this. So we're going to approve record. To approve the record, we have to have we don't actually need the record IDs. We just need the new work item IDs that have been passed in. So we don't need the approval process name either. So we'll do list work process work item ID, and we'll do work items. And so we don't need to grab those because we already have them from the work item IDs. And then what we're going to do is approve next record step. That's what we're going to do because we're just going to deal with the first one. So we're going to say ID active work item ID is equal to work item 0, like that. And then we're going to in 2 minutes, we're going to speed through this super quick. We're going to create a process work item. So approval process work item request and approve step is equal to new work item request, like that. We're going to do approve step dot. We're going to say set comments approving this step via Apex code, and then we'll do approve step dot set action, and we're going to say approve, like that. Approve step dot do we need next approver IDs? I think we can skip the next approver IDs, but we are going to set work item ID, and we're going to call that to our active work item ID. And then what we'll do is, and this is not going to be, we're going to have approval process result, and we're going to return approval dot process approve step, and that is our method. Now we're returning the object here, this approved process, which is probably a better way of handling this instead of doing that. So let's return the object. Approval dot approve, or it's just process result, like that. Copy pasta that up here. Okay, so then in our test. I'll save this. I'm going to cancel that. Yes, thank you. Save that one for me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to be, it's not a Boolean, it is a approval.process result. And I'm going to say results dot is success, like that. We'll do the same thing down here. Result is not a Boolean, it is a approval.process result. And we will tell it down here that we're going to use the where's my assert? Oh, here it is. Change this to be result.is success, and get rid of the rest of that. There we go. Expected to receive true. Okay, so I'm going to save that as well. We apparently have errors over here, so let's figure out what they are. I don't see any errors. Oh no, that's from a previous one. That's saved. Or did it? Tests. Save. Everyone, thanks for tuning in with me today. Working through approval processes. It's not something I do all the time, but it is very handy to be able to manipulate these approval processes by code. And so I want to make sure that we have a way of doing so in Apex Recipes. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you all next Thursday. Talk to you later.